That ticking sound you're hearing right now is the Doomsday Clock. Created decades and decades ago when Russia first enabled nuclear weapons.
Oh my God.
It measures how close we are to the extinction of the human race.
I have no clue what you're talking about, Nick.
Since the clock was created, we are closer to midnight and destruction than we've ever been before.
Oh, you're talking about the TikTok, the Doomsday Clock.
The Doomsday Clock, right? So it was started in, what was it? Yeah, so 1949. It hasn't moved at all in 2 years, by the way.
See, I didn't know why that was ever created. Like, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know that there was an actual purpose behind it.
Well, midnight's the end of the human race.
Yeah.
And it started off 7 minutes till midnight. And that's during the Cold War. After we found out that people have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
And it's fluctuated. It's been 20 minutes to midnight. It's been like a couple minutes to midnight. And now it's 89 seconds to midnight.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It's the first time that it's moved in the last 2 years. And we've got like destruction from another number of fronts. They're saying AI is a factor. Objects in space have headed towards Earth. By the way, remember that one you told me about that course corrected to head towards Earth? Mm-hmm. They've lost track of it completely. They don't know where it is now.
It's because it's the mothership. It's mothership.
Is that scary, Nick? Or what?
Yeah, man, it's doggone mothership. Listen, they turned on the invisibility shield.
Right. So something's traveling through space we're looking at, and all of a sudden it must see us. It starts heading towards us, and all of a sudden we don't know where it went.
It's gone. It's gone.
It's gone. No, I think it's there.
Oh,
that's what I find scary.
It's 100% there, Nick. It didn't disappear. It disappeared, but it didn't disappear.
It disappeared from us.
Correct.
But I think it's still hidden here. So there's that. There's a number of other objects in space that have like a 3% chance of hitting us, which doesn't sound like a lot.
Shoot.
But the lottery winnings are less, and people do that.
Exactly. We're talking about 1 out of 30, roughly 33.3, Nick.
Right.
That's right. Good odds. Listen, if they said, hey, do you want to pay $500 for this one ticket, this 1 out of 33?
Right.
And you can win $1 million. I think I'm taking them odds, Nick.
Yeah.
I'm just
saying.
I
mean, those are good odds. Not good odds if something's hurtling towards you in space. Yeah. They're city destroyers, though, which, I mean, believe it or not, that's the bright side. A city destroyer is going to leave some of us around.
Oh, man.
But other sources they state is AI, I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The hostilities between Russia, China, and the US. Surprisingly, climate is not much of a concern anymore. I guess we're past that point.
Listen, the cows, they're tooting less, Nick.
Right. Yeah, our cows have little filters on the end of them now.
They put a catalytic converter on them, Nick.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
nuts.
it's moved back and forth. But right now, I think it was 2 months ago, it moved for the first time in 2 years, and we're closer to total annihilation than we've ever been.
I thought at one point we were at 1159. Was that not correct?
Nope. We've not actually been at 1159.
Dang. Okay. I mean, good for us.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you. This is a quote. When it was 7 minutes to midnight. So you'll be able to gauge what you should possibly be doing in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
We do not advise Americans that doomsday is near and that they can expect atomic bombs to start falling from their heads a month or a year from now. The bulletin warned. But we think they have good reason to be deeply alarmed and to be prepared for grave decisions at 7 minutes to midnight.
See, but do you know what the difference between that and our current population in America is, Nick?
What?
We're too doggone concerned with what Kanye's doing.
That's true. Oh man, that guy's he's I does he have fans anymore?
Dude, that's the crazy thing. He has his own little cult following, literally cult following.
Right. So he's allegedly allegedly by him,
Allegedly.
a super racist incest person.
Right. But that's the crazy thing about American Nick. Like we concern ourselves with dumb stuff like that, or the lady, I'm going to say her name, even though it ticks her off every single time someone talks about her, like that Gypsy Rose or whatever her name is.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Like people are so enthralled with that. They're like, Earth might end tomorrow, but I need to know what's happening with Gypsy Rose today.
I know.
What?
Do you remember that band, Our Lady Peace?
No. Who's that?
Oh, they did the Superman song and all that kind of stuff.
They that who did that?
Yeah. Yeah. Superman's dead and all that stuff like that.
Oh, wait a second. No, that's not right. What did their CD case look like?
There's I think one that has like man, it's hard to remember now. They were a huge alternative band in the 90s though. Let me see.
Which one had the CD case where the boy was standing like this and he had the Superman on his shirt?
Oh, that might be them.
For some reason, I feel like it is, but there's a part in my brain that's like, no, that's absolutely incorrect.
So they have a bunch of them, and I don't think any is like that. The cover is like a guy holding on to a trapeze swing with his teeth is one of them.
Man.
But
I feel like I should know this.
Yeah, I think you'd recognize them if you heard anything or saw anything from them. They were huge, one of the biggest bands in the world at the time.
I'm just failing today, Nick.
No, that's okay. Different music preferences. Well, the reason I bring them up is they stopped touring and stopped producing music for years and years, and they had just had enough last year, and they made one song and then retired again. As far as I can tell, and it's called "Stop Making Stupid People Famous."
That's a great song.
It's actually a good song. I never appreciated them till then.
Oh man, Nick,
mm-hmm.
You're gonna be so mad.
Uh-oh.
They're gonna be in concert near me on July 20th.
You'll have to get reacquainted with them then.
They're gonna be in Canada, Nick.
Oh,
July 5th.
Oh, where at?
Fort McMurray.
I am not going anywhere near there. Well, actually, Fort McMurray, I have friends there, but by that time, that whole place will probably, I'm going to say it anyway. They have fires every year, bad fires every year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, almost every year.
Now, here's the concerning part, Nick.
Mm-hmm.
There is no price for the tickets in Fort McMurray.
Uh-huh.
In Ohio, $69, baby. And it's the highest one in the United States. They're also playing in Auburn, Washington for $41. And then they're playing in Bend, Oregon for $39. It's like, what? Why are we the most expensive?
Yeah, why do you have to pay more?
Yeah, listen, it's all corn here.
Do they take like corn donations?
They should. Maybe a little popcorn.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, bouncing off of that, do you know the band Korn?
Of course. Yeah. I know Korn.
Yeah. Do you know who they've been working with recently?
No. Post Malone doing country. Nope. They go country.
Nope. Oh, they'll never go country.
That's half the fun, Nick. Clickbait title. Korn goes country.
That will get people clicking, like angrily clicking. But he's working with Zach Baggins.
What? Why?
Yeah, it recently had an episode where good old Jonathan Davis from Korn went on an investigation with Zach Baggins.
Dude, that's crazy.
Isn't that wild?
It's like we're coming around full circle.
Right. I think every episode we're sort of like, did you know that someone's doing an investigation with Zach Baggins?
Did you watch the episode that I told you about last week?
I didn't get a chance to.
Man,
but
I haven't either. I need to see it too. I need to go check it out.
But yeah, well, I guess I got to check out a bunch of his stuff because I want to watch the full episode with Post Malone. I want to see the Jonathan Davis one. I want to see the one that you mentioned.
For anyone that doesn't know, last week we talked about his season opener for this year was the Poltergeist house, the actual house from the movie Poltergeist. So
yeah, I'm scared that it's not going to look anything like it did.
You know what would make it dope is if that freaking the Super Bowl thing is still in there. That'd be dope.
It's like, oh, they left this poster here. We just left it up. That'd be crazy. We'd finally get a good picture of it.
We would. Wouldn't it be crazy if it was in there, but it was blurry? Wouldn't it be crazy?
Like the camera just
it could never focus.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be like that artifacting that I talked about from my Reddit page.
Yeah, exactly. Man. Yeah, so Zach Baggins and Jonathan Davis, I saw Korn in concert a couple times.
I liked some Korn music.
Yeah, I like their older stuff.
I was going to say, I feel like their older stuff was better.
Well, they still had issues to work through. Now they got so rich that they really just have to sort of invent issues now, I think.
Speaking of something I'm not happy about.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to make half of, maybe not. I feel like there's just a very large percentage that probably sides with me here.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about rock music, and that seems to be the direction we're going right now, as you drink a rock star.
That's right.
Well, I thought you went off Rockstar, Nick. I saw you had one last week, too.
I did.
Did you fall off the bandwagon?
I fell off the bandwagon right into the road.
This is just dad puns for days over here. But something that I found absolutely fascinating, and it ticks me off beyond words.
Oh, boy.
Probably one of the absolute best and my most favorite singers of all time had a band, and he was replaced. Do you know where I'm going with this, Nick?
I have no idea.
Well, he unsubscribed from life. I'll give you some hints.
Oh, is this Linkin Park?
Yes. Did you see they've got a new singer?
I had heard that they were trialing a few people. Didn't they settle with a female singer? Or is that temporary?
And it makes me so mad because it doesn't sound the same. Here's the thing. I wouldn't mind it so much if they created all new songs. They still call themselves Linkin Park.
Mm-hmm.
But when she does his parts, I go, no, it doesn't feel right. It feels completely wrong. And I'm just not a fan. I'm not happy about it, Nick.
Now, you're right. You probably got a 50-50 split on this because some people really like it.
Those people are wrong. Okay, let me tell you. They're wrong on this one, Nick. I don't know.
Right.
Like, how would you feel if, like, one day, you know, your grandpa's out there teaching you how to milk cows and, you know, he's out there, and then one day some dude from nowhere comes up and he's like, well, I'm your grandpa today. You'd be like, you ain't my doggone grandpa.
I feel like I don't think so.
I don't think so there, bud. Okay.
Yeah.
When I hear screaming, it better be from Mr. Bennington. And if it's not, I don't want you doing it.
Right.
Unless it's
I get where you're coming from. I've not listened to a lot of the newer stuff because that was the end of the era for me.
Yeah.
Like that's not that band anymore, no matter who sings.
It'd be like if someone took over Kurt Cobain.
Right.
And was like, well, I'm going to sing all these Kurt Cobain songs. It's like, no, like Kurt Cobain is Kurt Cobain. Now, if you want to continue on this group, and that's completely fine.
Right.
But don't do the old stuff and remarket it. I feel like that's bad homage. I don't know.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. Like, usually if a band changes, so there's a couple categories of bands, right?
Yeah.
If a band has a lead singer or someone important in the band passes away, that's the end of the band for me.
Yeah, me too.
Like, it doesn't matter if they continue or replace them. They're free to do what they want, and I'm not going to complain about it, but that was the end of my journey with them.
Right.
Now, you know, I've been to a ton of Dave Mustaine concerts, right?
Yes.
Megadeth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of band is Dave Mustaine and whoever he hires. They're employees. He said it himself. He can swap them out at will. And as long as he's around, that band, no matter how much it changes, is still that band for me.
For sure. But that's the difference, because someone didn't die, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like in this case, Chester, I think everyone knew him. They loved him. And I think they loved him because the songs that he sang was real to him.
Right. And you can't replace that for sure.
You cannot replace that. Like when he sings those songs and it comes from his soul.
Mm-hmm.
When I listen to Chester and I say, this is a beautiful Linkin Park song, Chester is singing about something that he's dealing with.
Right.
That, I mean, he unsubscribed from life, dealing with the very things that he sung about day in and day out.
Right.
To have someone else come and then try to sing that same song, for me, it just, I don't know, that sounds like a curse to me.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree on that, especially where they're singing the same songs, because there's an example of other bands that when they replace the lead singer, they sort of make new songs.
Yes.
And they mostly do that. So there's no reason why they couldn't have done that.
Right. And that's my whole thing. Listen, if you want to keep Linkin Park going, right? Because Chester Bennington, he's gone, right? Like, rest in peace. There's nothing we can do about that. It's a very sad story. No differently than, you know, when Kurt Cobain left, you know, there's nothing we can do about that, you know, and I was a huge fan of him. Huge fan. But if you want to continue the band, that's fine. Just recreate music that wasn't his.
So this brought up a good topic that we've never talked about before.
Yeah.
Do you subscribe to any conspiracy theories about Kurt Cobain's death?
You know, it's funny you said that. Because I just watched what the heck was it? It was something on YouTube where they said that was not his doing.
Right. I think he didn't unsubscribe.
There was another person too. Their son just came out, which is the other person we're referring to.
Right.
And he's also saying that he doesn't believe his dad did that.
Right. So there was a movie that came out called Soaked in Bleach, I think. Or something like that. That sort of leans into this. Now this is probably something that I have the most wildest out there conspiracy theory on.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, and I'm not accusing these people of this, and this is all allegedly and stuff like that. I always thought it had something to do with Courtney Love, and who's the other person that benefited the most from this?
Honestly, I can't think of anyone other than Courtney Love.
Who got out from under Kurt's shadow and made a number of successful bands.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about.
I think Foo Fighters, Queens of the Stone Age.
How were they interconnected?
That was Dave Grohl. He was the drummer.
Oh, see, I did not know that. I did not know that.
Okay. Yeah. So I always thought they were in cahoots, allegedly, and I'm not accusing people. It's just my weird thought.
This is simply hypotheticals.
Right. But, you know, there was some stuff that half supported my theory in that movie, Soaked in Bleach, I think it was called.
Very interesting. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting movie to watch.
They're also saying that Chester, they believe, did not.
Oh, really?
His son just came out. I feel like his son just came out with something recently.
Oh, that's who you were talking about when you were saying son.
Yes. Chester's,
okay.
Chester's son, yeah. Chester Bennington's son.
Now, I thought he had an opinion on the singer replacement as well.
speaks out. Jamie Bennington, son of late Linkin Park frontman, has publicly criticized the band's decision to move forward with a new lead vocalist, Emily Armstrong, following his father's death. Jamie has voiced concern that the band's response to controversy surrounding Armstrong and her past ties, as well as the band's decision to replace his father. He also came out, I saw something, I don't think it was created. This is the problem. We live in a day and age where we don't really know if something's created.
Right.
Speaks out. Fathers. I'm not going to say the word. Because supposedly, I guess he had left behind a note. And he said that didn't sound like his father at all. But that's the problem. Like, let me see.
It's kind of human nature to not believe these kind of things anyway. Everyone wants to find the bad guy.
Well, he had said that he believed for years and years and years that his dad did do it.
Right.
And it wasn't until I think he said like a year ago or so, at least in whatever this was. Again, we live in a day and age where now I almost have to triple and quadruple check something.
Right.
Because I'll be honest, I watched this thing the other day with Joe Rogan. Like, man, this really don't sound like something Joe Rogan would say.
Right.
And I'm watching it and I'm like, man, and I started looking. And they took a video clip of Joe Rogan.
Right.
And they do kind of like what we do, which they put all the fancy little things over top the face and stuff. So he's talking. And then I started listening. I'm like, I bet that's an AI generated voice.
Right.
So they did what's completely illegal. Like we can't do it. But then again, criminals don't care about doing things legally.
Right.
Clearly.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But they put, think about Joe Rogan. Like you could legit put hundreds of thousands of hours of Joe Rogan's voice and it will almost completely imitate it. But I watched this entire thing and it was all complete misinformation on something that was completely untrue. Because I went to look for the podcast and I knew the other guy that he was talking with his podcast back and forth. I went back to the episode. None of that stuff was inside the episode. I'm like, man, this was all recreated.
Did they recreate both guys?
No, only one. But what they was doing was the guy was talking way more. So it just showed the guys he'd be nodding and agreeing with Joe.
Yeah.
And like he would throw something in like, hey, Jamie, can you look that up real quick? But there was, and that's kind of what kicked it off for me. Cause I'm like, man, Joe normally doesn't talk this much.
Right.
Like he usually lets his guests speak more.
I heard an interesting thing about Joe Rogan. It's a comparison that he's like a Mongol lord, like from Mongolia, and he's brought you to his hut. And he's like, Joe thinks sky full of demons. You say otherwise, convince Joe. And he like just brings people in and lets them tell him things. And then he assesses whether he thinks it's real or not.
I mean, can't blame the guy.
I think that's an awesome way to do something. Let the other person speak and then you just comment on it.
It's a genius motto.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked well for him.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that guy, he's got more listens.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely fascinating. And the guy's extremely smart. That's the thing. Like, I feel like he surrounded himself with a lot of people that they're just so freaking smart.
Right.
That he just opens up the doors to all of these different things. Speaking of doors being open, I watched this podcast today. I don't know why YouTube is sending me all these things.
Right.
I feel like last time we talked about what's the name of that drug? Where they go and they do these weekend excursions and
oh, is it salvia that I was talking about? Or?
You did talk about that too, but there's another one.
Peyote?
Yeah. What is it?
Peyote?
No. This one is why can't I think of the name of it? Anyway, I'll think of it. Anyway.
Yeah, you were telling me about this. You must know this.
Well, I talked about how they're taking it and they got these lasers and they're seeing these different things and stuff, right? Like we went down that path and then I went a different way, but I watched a completely different episode today and it was a guy and he was talking about DMT trips.
Mm-hmm.
And his
Joe
theory
Rogan was big into that, by the way.
Yes, he was big time. Man, the sad part is this other thing, it keeps popping into my head and then my brain moves and I forget what this could, dang it. Anyway, he was talking about, because the guy said, what do you think happens with DMT? Like, what do you think is occurring? And he said, because DMT is all over the body. And he goes, no, it's really not. It's mostly in the cortex of the brain. And he said, what I believe is happening, and this is a scientific guy.
Right.
He says, what I believe is happening is that it's opening up a parallel universe. And he goes, it could be time slip, could be a different dimensional plane.
Right.
And he said that he believes that a lot of these people that's done this DMT before, but what's happening is they're opening up a different plane to maybe something that might help them exceed on a different plane that's here. So it might be from a completely different parallel universe that's kind of working in conjunction with ours. I know Mom told me this weekend, I never understand what you guys are talking about on this stuff, but there's these theories that while one of our universes going on at the same time, there could be hundreds of other ones going on at the same time. That's very close, but not exact. But he thinks this DMT track, it might be pulling us into a different dimensional plane and we're pulling information from that. No differently than he believes the same thing about sleeping. And if I remember correctly, I think we talked about sleeping that episode too, did we not?
We did, because we were talking back to keep forgetting that place, Montauk.
Yes, the Montauk Project.
And the experiments they were doing there.
Isn't that crazy? That keeps coming up.
It does, because I think that there's a lot of stuff we don't understand about sleep and altered states and radio signals and how they can affect the brain. And these chemicals, like in Canada, they have medicinal marijuana, as you probably know. But they're also looking into legalizing magic mushrooms.
Wow. Okay.
Now, what they're saying about that is they can be used just like what you're talking about is a therapy that really help a lot of people. Because you can take these, you have an altered state, mild hallucinogen, and then sometimes for months afterwards, or even longer, a lot of the things that bothered you before, sometimes don't bother you anymore. You get a different perspective. You're looking at things from a different plane of existence, maybe, or you have information from another plane.
I mean, I don't think it's far-fetched. I think it definitely, think about all those musicians that's been hopped up on different things, and they come up with some of the most amazing things that we've ever experienced. Like, I think the Beatles said that there was allegedly, that there was a series of their songs that was wrote under the influence of different drugs.
Well, I would not believe them if they said otherwise. I've heard their songs. If they told me, we did this completely sober, I'd be like, you're a liar.
You're a doggone liar.
Why are you even telling me this? Yellow Submarine?
Yeah.
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band? All of this nonsense.
I really thought if I put in the Google machine drug-fueled weekend excursions, it would just tell me what the thing is I can't remember.
I think you're probably just going to get the Hangover advertisements.
I really feel like
that movie series.
Yeah, I feel like I am.
Yeah.
Shoot. Oh man. Why? Oh man. I'm on it's right on the tip of my tongue.
This is like watching someone fishing. Is it going to get loose or is it?
Why? Let me just type in drug. I don't even know that what I'm spelling is even close. Man, I must be spelling it so wrong that I want to say it's like Ayahuasca or something like that.
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca, that's it.
Yeah.
I was so close.
So that is, man, I don't even know. Oh, there we are.
That's a major hallucination. Then I just stroked out right there. That's a major hallucination drug. Is how I'll put it, correct?
So ayahuasca, pronounced ayahuasca, is a plant-based psychedelic. Psychedelics affect all the senses, altering the person's thinking, sense of time. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, because we talk about that. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Now this I know for a fact. In parts of America, because they make a tea out of it and stuff like that.
Yes.
Much like salvia that I was talking about before, natives used ayahuasca for their spirit journeys.
Well, do you know who Boogie 2988 is?
That's not that gamer guy, is it?
It is.
Didn't he have a spectacular fall from grace?
He did.
Oh, boy.
And he's still having one. Like he's dating a 19-year-old girl now that has the same name as his old wife.
Man, there's a lot to unpack for a psychologist or psychiatric person.
Well, basically, they did a documentary on him. I think it was like last year. And they literally, I think it was called that, like the fall of Boogie 2988 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But in it, he did one of those drug things. And it could have been ayahuasca. It could have been.
Yeah. Like that's powerful, is my understanding.
He was out on this log just laying back. Next morning, he said he still had the effects. And he's like, I think I'm a changed man. And then by the end of the documentary, he's still the same Boogie 2988.
Yeah, he's just back to his same tricks.
He was. Well, what was crazy was like, we're talking about a guy that was making millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And he lost it all.
Yeah.
He had gastric bypass surgery. He had all these things going for him and he dumped it all out. He just is crazy to me.
Some people can only hide their inner selves for so long. And when all eyes are on you, that's an easy way to screw it up.
Oh, for sure. 100%. Right. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think the ayahuasca had anything to do with it, though.
No, he did that because he wanted to reground himself, as he put it.
Right. Was this like part of his recovery plan?
Well, that's what he thought. Well, the guy that did the documentary, he was basically like, hey, I'm going to do this documentary with your help. And like Boogie let all this out. Like he was talking about how he was going to see Women of the Night and paying all this money.
Oh, my God.
And like he was talking about some of the things he was doing and all the foods he was eating and how, he had the series of things that was going wrong. And then people started getting frustrated with him complaining about everything.
Right.
And I'm like 95% sure that his girlfriend, whatever she is, she's got the same exact name as whatever his ex-wife was. But I don't know. Like she reminds me of someone that would be an OF model.
Okay.
And I'm like, why? Like this guy has failed at everything. He's older than me.
Right.
No money. Like in the episode, like he was down to like $200 and then he went and bought like $100 and some of Magic the Gathering stuff.
That's just another form of gambling, to be honest.
It really is. Well, and like all these people was coming over to his house and like it was such an awkward documentary. He's like, well, guys, usually I pay for the pizza and all that stuff. And this time, you guys are going to have to help chip in on X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, man, what a crazy, like it was such an awkward thing to watch.
It's funny. It's got to be true because he didn't start out a millionaire. He was quite right. He was just a regular Joe from what I remember.
Well, he started out making those YouTube videos where his wife would take away his privileges and like he would hit things with a baseball bat And I feel like that was really like the 90s was kind of that shock value. Like that's how I get all the shock value.
Right.
Like there's another YouTube channel that I was not a big fan of, which was the Angry Grandpa channel.
Oh, okay.
And I liked the guy. I thought the guy was plenty fine, but it was that genre of stuff where it was like, how can we shock them this week with something complete, you know? I don't know. For me, that was never really my bang zone. It wasn't things I was interested in. And even Boogie 2988, I wasn't a big fan of him. Now, a friend of mine loved him.
Really?
Thought he was the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, but he was always so negative. He complained
always
at the height of his riches, at the low of his riches.
Correct.
Always complained.
Correct.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. I mean, in fact, I just did a video. I think I showed it to you where it's like the noise cancellation headphones and like canceling those sounds out. Like that's my entire life is trying to prevent myself from hearing that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
The thing I was going to say about him though is he knew what it was to be a regular guy.
Oh yeah.
He got huge amounts of money. He obviously scaled his spending up.
Yep.
And as he started to decline, he didn't stop spending.
Correct. And you know, that happens a lot. It happens with a lot of people, honestly, which is the sad part. I mean, how many, like, have you ever listened to T-Pain at all?
Oh, yeah.
He's been doing a circuit here lately, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if he has like a CD coming out or something, but he talks about how he came out with his first CD and he's kind of pounding, and he told all these people, like, I don't ever want to know what's in my bank account.
Right.
And then he bought like a Lambo, or no, it wasn't a Lambo. He bought a Bugatti. And he decided he wanted to get like a second Bugatti or something. They're like, you're out of money. You're broke. And he goes, what? I'm broke. What are you talking about? And he's like, all that time, like no one really explained that, you know, you got all these taxes and you got all this stuff. So he talked about going from nothing all the way to something, crashing and burning all the way back down, and then slowly building himself back up. And that's an artist that I'm a big fan of. Like I love T-Pain.
I mean, people can be, well, actually, I'd say these are almost mutually exclusive sometimes, but it's hard. You can be a great artist, but be terrible at money.
That's true.
And that's a lot of what it's like most of the time.
Well, and I think T-Pain, you know, for him, like he explained, he was young. He had no concept of money. He didn't really understand the best way to apply things, but that guy is literally, in my personal opinion, a genius, like an absolute bona fide genius. Like the way he did, like he's over Nappy Boy Records now. Like he's got his own publications that he's doing.
He put out the first auto-tune tool.
Well, it's funny because he talked about that in that documentary. You know, auto-tune, he came out with his own version of auto-tune. And then auto-tune came out and they was like, we don't want to be associated with you. You can't do this.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah. So then auto-tune came out with a new version and they said, as you have heard on T-Pain and this and that, and T-Pain goes, oh, no. If you won't let me do this, you can't use my name here.
Yeah, I know what they split off of. The company that does it mainly is a company called Antares or something like that. Because they do Antares auto-tune now.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was super fascinating.
Software.
Oh, it's super fast. He's like he said, auto-tune was not a big deal until he took it and turned it into something.
Everyone had it on their phone at one time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he mentioned it. He said, you know, the way that he used auto-tune was not he said auto-tune was created to where you never knew there was auto-tune.
Right.
He took auto-tune and made it to where everyone knew it was auto-tune on there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the big difference. I mean, auto-tune had been around forever, but you know, he said, well, we're gonna super pitch it.
Correct.
Like that.
It's super fascinating. I don't know. Speaking of super fascinating, do you want a story? Do you want a story time, Nick?
I sure as heck do. And I think you have been teasing this one since we started recording today.
I have. For anyone that doesn't know, listen, I start recording a little bit early now. And the whole reason for that is I want to do some behind the scenes for our Discord channel. If you've not followed our Discord channel yet, you're definitely going to want to check that out. because it's super cool.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a story that I ran into this week. I was a little bit shocked by it. Listen, I'm going to butcher some names. Okay. Look at me. Look at me. All you out there in YouTube land. I'm going to butcher these names. Okay. So don't come after Bert. I'm not from this part of the world. Okay. But anyway, I was telling Nick that I ran into this story, and, we did an episode on Dyatlov Pass. Which
that's one of my favorite stories of all time.
It's one of my favorite stories you ever told, Nick, is by far. Like, that story has stuck with me ever since. And I'm like, man, what a crazy story. Well, we also told a story, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it was called, but it was similar to Dyatlov Pass. It was very similar, but it was based in
the something 6.
That's what it was. That's what I believe it was.
Before it was.
But anyway, did you know, and which you do know because we talked about it a little bit before, but there's another case that came out of Siberia.
I only know because you have told me this.
So there's these mountains, and it's the Kumar Dabhan Mountains.
Okay.
Kumar Dabhan Mountains. Anyway, it's basically a hiking trail, which is very similar to our story about Dyatlov Pass. And it happened back in August of 1993. Now, it was a seasoned outdoor instructor, and what they was doing was leading 6 hikers deep into the mountains. And again, this reminds me of Dyatlov Pass to a degree, because that was how many people? That was a decent amount too, right?
Yeah, and the same premise as well. Igor Dyatlov was leading that hiking group.
Oh, so this is very similar.
Very similar. And just a brief pause, the other one was the Yuba City 5.
That's it, Yuba City 5. That's it.
Right, so go back and watch that if you haven't had a chance.
Yeah, and watch our episode on Dyatlov too.
Oh, yeah.
But these hikers were ranged from 17 to 24 years old, but they weren't amateurs. Like, these were, this is what they did. They had extensive training and experience.
Right.
So they weren't newbies. Now, the person that was leading it, that was an instructor named Ludmila Koravina. But she led the 6. I'm reading through here. But for the first few days, everything similar to Dyatlov Pass, it seemed kind of normal. Everything was going smooth. That was until August 4th. And the weather suddenly shifted. Now, what did they say about Dyatlov Pass?
Same thing.
Same thing. So they said there's a swift and severe cold front that swept in, bringing freezing sleet, a thick fog, and biting wind. If you remember in Dyatlov, didn't they want to turn back around after a section?
They had considered it a number of times, but decided to press onwards.
I find it interesting, and I'm going to go with I'm going to say a hypothetical scenario when we get to the end of this. I'm going to see what you come up with first, Nick, but
okay.
They decided to wait out the harsh conditions. And the group, they set up to get basically this camp put down in a sheltered basin.
Right.
But before anyone could even settle down properly, everything went chaotic. Without warning, one of the guys, Alexander Crescent, he collapsed to the ground and violently started convulsing and foaming at the mouth.
Oh, wow.
So you have this image of this one person that has this thing that's going on. But moments later, Tatiana Filipinsko began to scream in agony. She fell down and started bleeding from her nose and her ears.
This is the kind of stuff that happened in Dyatlov Pass, except we didn't have eyewitnesses for it.
Correct. Now, panic obviously hit everyone else, and they started freaking out. So there was a guy by the name of Timar. There was a guy by the name of Dennis. There was a female, Veronica.
Mhm.
They soon suffered very identical symptoms, and they started collapsing one after another. Now, their experienced leader,
Mhm.
she was desperate to try to find some type of help. She just wanted to try to figure it out. But unfortunately, she also fell victim to everything herself. She became confused, terrified, and she started struggling until she finally collapsed.
Wow.
So all of this occurred in a very short time frame. We're talking 40 minutes.
Wow.
So within 40 minutes, complete chaos.
Mm.
Now, one of the names that I mentioned, I think I mentioned Valentina Yudachenko.
Okay.
She stood paralyzed. No, I have not brought her up, actually. So Valentina, she stood paralyzed for just a moment. She was completely overwhelmed. Like she's looking at all this stuff going on. She then fled, prepare for this, Nick,
Right.
barefoot,
Just like it. Just like it.
driven by sheer terror into the thick, foggy wilderness. And for days, she wandered alone, battling starvation, exposure, and fear.
So that happened to a number of them in Dyatlov Pass.
Yes.
But interestingly as well,
Mm-hmm.
she didn't seem to be affected by this other than like, I think the paralysis was probably just fear.
Yes.
Hmm.
Now, her ordeal, it finally ended when a group of geologists stumbled upon her. She was weak, incoherent. She was badly injured, which falls back to Dyatlov Pass, right? Yep. Initially, they thought that she was just delusional from the trauma.
Right.
But the gruesome discovery was that the hikers' bodies confirmed every single thing that she had said about what occurred to them.
Wow.
And all of the rest of them succumbed to the conditions. Now, authorities tried to dismiss the incident, much like with Dyatlov Pass, as a tragic accident caused by harsh weather and then mass panic.
Yeah.
But the explanations failed to address the bizarre symptoms, how they rapidly collapsed. And then all of a sudden, speculation started swirling that hinted at maybe this was like a secret nerve agent test.
I was kind of thinking that when you talked about it, or sonic weapon or something like that.
That's another theory that people has come up with.
Now, the convenient thing for the people trying to explain the Dyatlov Pass thing was that it had snowed enough that they blamed it on an avalanche.
Correct.
And the people who were bleeding from different places were bounced around on the rocks and stuff. Although, if you recall as well, there were no broken bones on that either.
Correct. Now, interestingly enough, there's an indigenous communities. They avoid those mountains completely.
Yeah. They must be similar mountains to the Dyatlov Pass one.
I bet they are.
Is it Kolat-Syakal or something like that?
The name of the mountain?
Yeah.
Kumar Dabhan.
Oh, okay. Maybe in the same range, though.
Yeah, it's actually spelled, for anyone that wants to know, Khamar, second word Daban, mountains. Now, Valentina, she retreated from the public eye, never speaking publicly about the traumatic event again. And to this day, those mountains, people are still concerned to go to them. They don't want to go to that area at all. Did you find it?
I can't find if they're close, because Kolat-Syakal just means the mountain of the dead.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I mean,
you know,
I'm just saying.
Yeah, they, excuse me. This has been, you might have said this earlier, Buryatia's Dyatlov Pass is what they call this.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
I did not say that. So that's interesting.
It seems like hiking clubs are very popular in Russia.
Right. But you know what I find interesting about all this? And I was curious if he's going to tag into all of this. you have all these different people that's having all these different things. But you know what's interesting about it is the weather conditions that started just prior to all this.
Right.
Now, have you ever heard of HARP here in the United States?
I have heard of that. That's a weather control system where they say so.
I'm curious if it's a case where a facility similar to that, I'm not saying that facility, but who knows what's around the world. What if they're messing with stuff and then it causes this weather that just significantly change, but maybe it's also putting things, it's almost like a sonic kind of condition for these people, because I find it weird. One person is watching everyone in the group succumbing to something, but it's like she was just far enough away to where maybe it didn't directly hit her.
Or it was a test where there was a specific target and you had to avoid, one. Like maybe in a real world scenario, you've got a diplomat surrounded by people and you could knock out all the people around them, but leave them fine. Right.
It's definitely a fascinating story. It's similar to like the five, the
Yuba City 5.
Yuba City 5, yeah. I mean, think about it. Like they were in a spot and it's like they went completely delusional.
Right, for no good reason.
No good reason. Like one person left their boots in a building. They walked off barefoot. I'm like, what's up with all these people walking around barefoot?
Right, and that building that they left had packages of shoes and stuff in it, if I recall correctly.
It did. It had all the supplies. Like those people could have lived for a long time and they passed away from starvation.
Right. With food right next to them.
It's like, what is going on?
Right. It's almost like they were driven crazy or terrified or something like that. Now, interestingly, the mountain range you're talking about and the Dyatlov Pass one, they're almost 3,000 kilometers apart, but they're sort of along a same path, just the opposite side of the borders. So it's almost like, well, we can't do it again here.
Right.
People are watching this, so they went here. But it's right along the edges of other countries in the mountain ranges.
Yeah, that's so wild, man. There's something to that. I don't know. It feels dirty, Nick. It feels dirty.
If you could. So what they did was terrifying. Like what happened to people in these scenarios. And like I said, the Dyatlov Pass one, they got off too easy because they were able to say they got caught up in an avalanche. It bounced them off of things. It caused this. It didn't sound like there was enough snow for this group for them to say anything. But I looked it up briefly and they were saying, oh, it was poison mushrooms and it was this and that and the other thing.
Isn't it amazing how they always do that?
Really stretching it.
That's what kills me about this kind of stuff. It's that kind of stuff that annoys me. It's like every single time, and I try to be skeptical to a point, right?
Yeah.
Like whenever I see a story, I'm like, nah, that story is a little left of center. I don't know. Like it's kind of
whack.
a little sketch,
Yeah.
But then I hear stuff like this and I'm like, that's just a weird thing to have happen. Right. And again, what do we always look for? Patterns, right? Like, okay, this happened here and this happened here. And then, there's this entire event that happened over here.
Yeah.
And then people go, it's just coincidence. And it's like, oh, come on, man. Like when you see the same thing happen over and over and over again, that's not coincidence. I don't care who you are.
This is a cookie cutter pattern. Like I can't see any. If you told me this story without ever mentioning Dyatlov Pass incident, I'd make the connection immediately.
Oh, for sure.
The first part and all the way through it is almost word for word.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. That's an awesome story. And I don't know why that's less famous than the other one.
I don't know. I think it's like, these content creators, maybe they just hooked onto one story and that's what they run with. Similarly, I mean, since we're on paranormal at this point, I did a story for my podcast this weekend.
Right.
And, I've done a bunch of like my podcast now is kind of like I've opened it up to different stories, but I still love stories about hauntings. Like that's just my favorite stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran into the story I've never heard of before. And I did it by mistake.
Oh, okay. Just sort of wandered into it, huh?
That's the beauty of it. I'm like, I go down these rabbit holes.
Right.
And I was actually looking for something completely different. And then I stumbled across this. I'm like, that's a weird name. Like, what in the world is this? And I start looking into it. And I'm like, the first thing I said, because this story, it happened out of the year 1794.
That's crazy old. Crazy old.
I mean, think about it. Our country was not even a country.
Right.
In 1794. But
there's ghost roaming everywhere.
Oh, yeah. But, I get this story and I'm like, no one would care about this story because it happened in 1794. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I'm still going to read it because I'm going to find it fascinating. So I start reading it and I found a book. And you can actually get the book on Kindle for anyone that's interested. I'll give you a synopsis. And for the record, this isn't even coming out on my podcast for, it won't even be when this podcast coming out. It'll be the week after this podcast comes out.
Right.
But the name of the book, and it's funny because there's a folklore about this story. But the name of the actual book, and I got to go to the front of my Kindle. I wish there was an easier way. But the name of the book is The Appalachian Legend of the Wizard Clip, America's First Poltergeist. And the cover's like super cool. It shows this little demon up on a moon with a pair of scissors.
I'll tell you, everything in the Appalachian Mountain Range is spooky.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's where all the cryptids are, too.
Did I tell you that the Appalachian Mountain Range actually continues into this province?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, like the mountains around Digby, or Digby Neck, we call it, is actually a part of the Appalachian Mountain Range.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, no cryptids there, though, that I know of.
That you know of, Nick. That's a key. You don't know about them. Well, this story, and what really hooked me on this one, Nick, and listen, I wrote a great script for this. Just FYI. Like, if people don't like this script, okay, punch yourself between the legs, because that's stupid. This is great scripting.
That's strong words. That's strong words.
This is my hook. I'm going to give you guys the hook.
Okay.
In a forgotten corner of Appalachia, a stranger came knocking, sick, desperate, begging for salvation, and denied. That night, horses thundered through Livingston Farm. Unseen fires leapt from stone fireplaces without warning. Furniture shuddered and shook in empty rooms. And then it began. The clipping. We're talking about boots and dresses and linens and saddles, all sheared to ribbons under the blade of an invisible hand. Some say it was guilt. Some say it was a curse. But others, they believe it was something far, far worse. Nestled quietly between the rolling Appalachian hills lies Middleway, West Virginia, a town seemingly untouched by time. Clipboard houses line empty streets where whispers of history echo with every passing breeze. But in 1794, the tranquil village, then called Smithfield, will become the host to America's strangest and most terrifying mysteries. It began simple enough, with a knock at Adam Livingston's door. Adam Livingston was a proud man, a prosperous farmer, devout Lutheran, steadfast in his belief, but kindness led him to open his door to a stranger, a dying traveler whose last request would alter the course of the Livingston family forever. In the days that followed, the stranger begged Adam for a Catholic priest, begging for salvation, but Adam refused. Certain of his convictions, unaware his decisions just sealed his family's fate. The stranger died, having not confessed his sins, unblessed and buried in unconsecrated grounds. And in the days that followed, the Livingston household became host to an invisible, relentless terror, one simply known as the Wizard Clip.
Ooh.
Tell me that doesn't have all the spookiness in that one.
Yeah, if you guys don't like that, get punching, like Bert said.
Yeah, get punched in the nards, man.
No, that's good. Like, I'm hungry for more on that. And I'll tell you, that's a chilling image, because I am nervous when people are walking around with scissors. If there were scissors just flying around cutting up stuff, I'd be a nervous wreck.
Well, here's my favorite part, because we was talking about the Poltergeist episode and how we believe that was like a curse because of those skeletons, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the long story short about this entire, they call it a poltergeist.
Right.
Is there was a man that was walking in the city and he ends up at Adam Livingston's door.
Right.
He knocks. Adam comes to the door and he goes, listen, there's a storm coming. I'm not going to survive if you don't let me in.
Right.
So he lets him in. But what he doesn't understand is the man has a fever. He's very pale. He's sickly. So for the next couple of days, he's begging and pleading because he knows he's about to die. Right. He knows it. Like he can feel it. But Adam was a devout Lutheran. And this man was asking for a Catholic priest. And Adam's like, I don't care what you want. This is between you and God. So you deal with it there. And if anyone that knows anything about Catholicism, a lot of times when someone's about to pass away and they know it, they want to confess their sins.
Right.
So they can go into heaven clean. Otherwise, they could potentially go into a section called purgatory.
Right.
So that evening, the 2 days later, the man, he starts having shallow breathing and he dies. Adam feels bad about it. He takes the guy outside and buries him in a shallow grave.
That doesn't really show much remorse to me, really.
And he did it right behind his farm.
Right.
So the very next day, in the book, it says this family, they start becoming paranoid and they don't even know why. I mean, first off, they just had someone die in their house, but I'm assuming back then that was probably relatively more common than nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They probably didn't think immediately, oh, that's a ghost.
Yeah. But supposedly all of a sudden, which I thought was super weird because it kind of also reminded me of Jeff, the talking mongoose.
Right.
But they said they heard these horses and it was stampeding and going around the house. So Adam jumps up and he looks out his windows and there's no horses, no riders, nothing.
That'd be pretty scary.
That would be scary, right? It'd be like, think about it. You're laying in your bed nowadays and you hear race cars running around your house over and over again. You look out the window and there's no race cars.
I'd be like, well, I'm losing it or something weird's happening.
Correct. So all of a sudden he started figuring out as he's hearing these more often, it's not outside, it's inside of his walls.
Oh, no, that's very Jeff the Mongoose like.
Correct. That's like I say, this reminded me so much of Jeff the Mongoose.
Yeah. Go back and watch that episode too if you haven't seen that.
Correct. That episode was crazy. It's the only episode we've ever had where we had countless issues the entire time recording it.
Yeah, it took all your wizardry to make something watchable or listenable out of that.
And of all the episodes, like we've done, I don't know how many episodes. There's been 2 episodes we've struggled with. Jeff the Mongoose.
Right.
And the story of Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say that's the other one that was difficult beyond belief just because of technology on that one, really.
Correct.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a small part of me that thinks there was something else at play at that too. Do you know why?
Why?
As soon as we got to Sam the talking cat, that's when everything went south.
Would it be weird if Jeff travels around and he was Sam?
It could be, man. I don't know. Could be.
Have you ever seen books from like The Witch's Hammer and stuff like that? Malleus Maleficarum? So all the familiars are little creatures that look like Jeff. And you've got ones called Vinegar Tom and all these stuff like that. So they're a lot like these familiars that the devil gives to witches to mess things up.
I don't know, man. There's something to it.
Yeah, maybe it's the one and the same.
It makes me wonder sometimes. It's like this story. I mean, this is like the reason I think this would make such a great movie is think about it. Every great movie has a protagonist, every single one of them. In this case, a man comes to a house He's denied his final rights. He dies. It's like a cursed episode of any movie.
Right.
But the interesting thing is, they started hearing these clipping noises like scissors, which, by the way,
that wouldn't make you nervous.
Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, I'm going to create that sound for my episode. I'm going to get some of those shears from outside, those big, whoosh, whoosh, and I'm going to create that sound myself. So in that episode, whenever you guys hear that, and I think I'm going to close every section with that just as hard as I can.
Oh, that'd be good.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I got a lot of ideas for that episode. But the interesting thing of this clipping that was occurring was it started cutting everything inside the house. So like they would have a handkerchief that they'd wipe their head with or whatever. They'd put it in their pocket and it would be cut into a whole bunch of crescent-shaped moons.
So weird. I wonder if that signifies anything.
I don't know.
Other than moons were a symbol of witchcraft.
That's what I'm saying. Like it definitely fits.
Yeah.
I don't know. They talked about how people would come to the house not believing any of it.
Right. Yeah.
And, but they would still be precautious. So like there was a really, no, I didn't put this in my podcast, but there was a really well-renowned woman of the town. Like she was like over all kinds of stuff. Like she was super important in the city. And she went to the house to basically disprove it all. She's like, okay, I'm going to go there. Clearly nothing's going to happen. I'll come back and tell everybody. She goes inside the house, but she had this very expensive handkerchief, like very expensive. She said, so none of the family can do this. They're not going to destroy my handkerchief. She folded it up and put it inside of like this thing.
Right.
And then she put it inside of her dress. She goes and talks. Nothing happens. So she comes outside and she's like, told you, like there's nothing here. She goes and walks to her carriage.
Yeah.
She gets her handkerchief out, cut to strips, all in the shape of a moon.
Explain that, lady.
They said that she turned into an absolute believer after that. Now, an interesting thing is this Adam guy, the guy that owned the house and the property, he started going to all these different ministers and he's like, listen, I just need you guys to literally do a blessing, get whatever this is out of my house out. Like you have to.
So now he needs the clergy.
So he's going to in every denomination. Like he did not care. Every one of them but the Catholic denomination.
Oh, he didn't go to them.
No.
Oh, he's just being spiteful at this point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was a devout Lutheran. Like he was like, no, I'm not doing this. So all these pastors was coming and fleeing, scared to death. They're like, we've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
So Adam ends up having this dream, and in his dream, he's climbing this rock side of this mountain. And when he gets to the very top, there's this beautiful church, but it was a little bit spooky looking too. He walks inside, and a voice inside of his head says, this is the man that's going to protect you or something like that.
Yeah.
He wakes up and he tells his wife, and his wife's like, maybe what you need to do, I know you don't want to do this, but go to the Catholic, I think it's in like Shepherdtown or something like that, and just go there and see if they can help. He goes that next weekend. He goes inside the church. He's staying in the back, and the guy that was in his dream is preaching the sermon.
Oh, that's interesting. So this is almost like divine inspiration at this point.
Yes. So he goes to this priest and he's like, hey, here's what's going on. The priest is like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, sure it is. Yeah. Yeah. This is what's happening. Yeah. Oh, okay. You saw me in a dream. Okay. So he goes there completely skeptical. And as he gets there, he pulls out his Bible. He starts doing the holy water and he's doing an exorcism of the house. When he gets done, everything calms down and he looks at Adam and he goes, listen, just because I did this doesn't mean that this is gone. It could just be hiding until I'm gone.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. It was hiding. So they were good for like a few days.
Yeah. This kind of happens in possession sometimes too.
All the time. All the time. So this thing comes back again, and it comes back in even more fury. Like it's at this point, it's significantly worse. Like now it's throwing fire from the fireplace onto the wooden floor, and the beds was spontaneously combusting, like flames going all the way to the ceiling, and they're trying to smother it all out. Like
this is sort of like that story, the fire spook of Caledonia Mills that I told you about.
Yes.
Where fire would just drop from everywhere.
Yes, exactly the same thing. So they're doing all this stuff, and then Adam comes up with this genius idea. You know what? That pastor back there, I think he called it like the priest fields or something like that. He ends up donating that to the Catholic Church.
Okay.
And his goal was, in the deed, it even said, for many blessings, even for my family, years and centuries after I pass away. Well, apparently, it didn't care. It didn't care about that.
Oh, I thought this would have solved it. Really?
No. He still dealt with that haunting until his dying day.
Wow.
He ended up moving out of that house. He moved all the way from West Virginia to Pennsylvania. He got a whole brand new house. He moved into it in 1802. And in 1802, when everything 1809. 1802 is when he gave that land. In 1809, he left Middle Way, went to Pennsylvania, and the clipping was still happening.
Oh my goodness.
He lived from 1809 to 1820. He finally passed away. And they say to this very day, if you go to Middle Way and you've got a camera, there's a good chance that it will shatter inside your hands.
Really?
Yeah. They say that the hauntings,
I don't want to go there.
They say it still happens to this very day.
That's an expensive ghost situation.
Very expensive. Yeah, that is one place we will not be doing an investigation.
We will not
folks.
be going there with our thousands of dollars of equipment.
Ain't no way. But I thought that story was super fascinating.
Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was interesting was, I always cover fringe theories whenever I cover this kind of stuff. And there was what I would consider a fringe theory as one of the skeptical points of view. Because in the skeptical point of view, I always cover, hey, here's the story, but here's what the skeptics say.
Here's the counterpoint.
Correct. So the first one I think was kind of obvious. A lot of skeptics believe that it's just a case of mass hysteria.
Yeah.
I think
skeptics are nice. They don't ever want to say, oh, this guy's just lying.
Correct. For the most part, the second biggest leading source is they believe that it was a huge hoax.
Right.
And they believe that it was a hoax by the Catholics of all people.
Really?
Because the Catholics was the only one that could get rid of whatever this was. So if you were Lutheran, which was what was predominant, they were saying, hey, maybe you should be Catholic instead. So that was the counterpoint. But the thing that I found very interesting was the third skeptical point of view. I said, this is their skeptical view?
Like, oh boy, if it says owls, I'm going to lose it.
No, it didn't. And I'm going to have to read this because this was very scientific. Because there's a lot of big words that I didn't understand. I even laugh when I see this. So a more unusual explanation posed by some of the modern parapsychologists suggests a phenomenon known as recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis. So from a skeptical point of view, that's their third best concept and idea.
This sounds like a skeptical point of view from the 70s.
Right, exactly.
It's like, well, this isn't a ghost at all. It's just our regular everyday mind powers.
Basically. And they said it was similar to like infill. Remember when we was talking about it in infill too? It was stress, grief, guilt, whatever it may have been. It's what causes all this energy to occur.
Right.
But I'm like, man, I really thought that would have been under fringe theories. But under fringe theories, they did have a pretty good concept. They had
a good selection.
The Traveler's Revenge, which is kind of what I thought was so fascinating about the story. You got this guy, he's a Catholic, he refused his final rites, and now he's cursed to the entire town.
Right.
Like, I'm like, that would make such a great movie. The second fringe theory was purgatory intervention, which was basically a way of saying that from the other side of purgatory, because one of the interesting things is there was a section where these spirits was supposedly talking to the family. There was multiple spirits, and the way that they knew that these people was tormented in purgatory, as they put it, was because there'd be singed hand marks in fabrics.
Oh, man, that's creepy. That would make a good movie there, right?
Correct. Well, and there's another part. I didn't get into all of it, but there was a part where this other stranger came to their house. And he came to the house, and this is going to go full circle with the story we just told. Barefoot. And it's freezing outside. So they bring this stranger in, and they offer him shoes, and he takes it, and he goes, "Where I'm from is neither hot nor cold."
That sounds like purgatory.
Yeah. So he's going through and he's talking about all these different things that he's basically teaching them. And then one day he gets up and he's like, well, my teaching's over. He walks through the field and then vanishes.
Wow.
So super fascinating story. But they talked about this purgatory intervention, and what their theory on that is, they're a Lutheran family. Because even these spirits in purgatory started yelling at this family because they're like, you're vain and you live in this world of vainness and you got all this. So it's like persecuting them.
Yeah, they're mad. All of them are mad.
Absolutely mad. So
I guess to get in purgatory, you've got to have the same kind of circumstance happen to you.
Correct.
So,
which reminds me of the Christmas Carol thing that we did.
Yes, exactly.
Which, if you haven't seen that, listen, we're just doing all of our episodes a day.
This is a clip show, basically.
But that was basically what they broke down. And the third fringe theory they came up with was demonic infestation.
Right.
Which
I mean, we have a history of blaming a lot of stuff on that.
Correct. I don't know. I thought it was such a fascinating story. I'm like, man. Yeah. At first I was like, I can't do a video on the 1700s. Like, no one's going to listen to this. But then I literally read this book. I'm like, I've got to do an episode on, like, this is just too good. I mean,
that's fascinating. I don't know what you're talking about.
Because I feel like people, when they hear that it's an old movie, they're like, or an old book, they're going to be like, 1700s. It's not 1700s no more, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to listen to a Western,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of get that because, like, my interest in listening to, like, a Victorian ghost story is limited to once a year. Basically.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and that's why I kind of wanted to build it as something completely different in the hook.
Yeah.
To kind of.
The hook was fantastic.
Yeah. The hook is simply just to get people in. I'm going to have that snipping sound happening in the background. I don't know. I'm going to get me some big shears. That's right. I don't know. It should be fun, though. I'm looking really forward to the episode. I think that it will definitely be something that will catch a lot of attention. I think I lost Nick for a second. Uh-oh. Is he going to come back, folks? It's always the $1 million question. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I hear him. I hear you.
Hello?
Yep. Now I see you.
This darn thing.
Well, luckily no one disconnected. So the last thing I basically said was, I think it'll make for an absolutely interesting episode. I think a lot of people is going to absolutely love it. I think it'll be something that they'll find interesting, even if it's a case where, maybe it doesn't fit with today's narratives and standards.
I know I'm looking forward to it just from the bit you gave me there. I mean, we cover the whole story, but the nuances that you're definitely going to have in yours, definitely worth listening to, because yours is going to be a more cinematic experience.
Oh, yeah. That's the beauty of the way I'm doing them now is I'm really adding some of this AI video rendering And I'm trying to really hit on the really spooky parts. I don't know. Right. But what says you at home? I feel like we cover all these stories, but I really want our people to tell us what they're interested in or what they run into, or even jumping over to our Discord. I mean, heck, you can conversate with us over there. Maybe there's something that you want to talk directly to us about. And I know that we're over there all the time, but it definitely would be fascinating to get a bird's eye view of what everyone else is interested in. But in addition to that, I think that it's also important that we mention that, if you enjoy our channel, give us that thumbs up, give us the glorious recommendation, give us the 5 stars. We need everything we can get. Hopefully YouTube will let us out of YouTube jail here eventually. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm keeping my luck out there. But I want to thank everyone for stopping by. Until we see you in the next podcast, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Snip, snip, snip.
Snip, snip, snip.